Greetings barbers, I am Ross from Stag, and today we were doing a mid-length men's haircut with lots and lots of texture. To start off with, we're looking for the hair growth patterns. We're going to section this out, map the haircut out to simplify it so we know exactly what areas are going to cause me problems. We've already had a consultation prior to this sectioning, so we know visually the back end of the client's hair is what needs to be texturized and layered through. So to split this into two sections, first of all, we're now going to create a nice radial section using the comb as a guide to find out where the highest point of the head is with the apex. I'm going to create a nice radial section just behind the ear and split that into two. So once we've mapped the hair out, we've decided which section panels we want to use. We've got the back two panels, side panels and the top section through that. Primarily we're going to start with the back section through there. I understand that the client's hairline is quite soft and quite light through here, so you want to maintain as much weight as possible. So all I'm going to do is use that as a guideline first of all. We're going to use the razor and we're going to take off a little bit of the bottom section. Start from the panel from the front and just razor that out a little bit. Nothing too heavy. We're maintaining weight through the layers with low elevation, but we are creating a little bit of texture. Again, maintaining as much weight as possible around the nape of the neck. We're just creating a little bit of texture with our razor to soften it. We don't want too much blunt ends on this haircut. We want to make it look as natural as possible. Almost a lived-in haircut, which is quite popular at the moment. And once we've created our perimeter, we're happy to put some layers in. First section, we're going to create a profile section for the back of the head. Comb whips apart. Nice little tip, what I tend to use is 2 fingers. Brush it down, pin it in. I know then that's roughly going to be comb whips apart for my first profile section. So we're now choosing the first section for the length. We can see that Jake's hair is slightly heavy at the back towards the occipital and above. So choosing the first length is really important. So I'm going to aim for the occipital bone in the first section. See that naturally wants to drop. And we're taking that length off. So we're not pulling the hair, we're pushing it into the first section. Bringing it out square. You can see our guide. Comb square, body shape square. We're pulling this out square. And we're going to create a nice square shape through there. And again, we're maintaining weight below the occipital bone. So when we come square, we're going to slightly concave up to maintain length below it. I'm just going to soften that down a little bit. Again, we're keeping this shape nice and square, so we're going to push this weight from this side forward. I'm using my Stag DS offset scissors, which are super sharp, so I've got to be careful when I do this. You can see the weight we want to take off, and we're going to remove that. So the scissors are full convex edge, which makes it super sharp for cutting. Perfect. So there's a choice between offset and straight scissors. I actually tend to use both, depending on how I feel on the day. They both work super well and comfy in the hands. I've chosen the 6-inch today, just so we can access a bit more hair, which works really well if you're in a busy barber shop, you want to take off a bit more hair, be a bit quicker. Especially with scissor over comb, it speeds things up, make it more efficient with the long blades. So today we're using 6-inch blades. These can go up to 7 inches. I prefer the feel of 6 inches in my hand, just a bit more precise. Concave that up again, I'm just going to chip into that. You can see how sharp the blades are through this. Getting to the round of the head now. I know the client wants to wear his hair tucked behind his ears, so I've decided to create as much weight as possible with over direction. So we're now bringing this straight back to the wall. Maintain as much length and weight as possible. Always remember to pull away from what you want to keep, so we maintain that lovely shape around the ears. And again, the last section behind the ears, we know we can pull this straight back. We've got our guide underneath. I'm cutting straight down. Remember not to go too far down past the occiput. We still want to maintain a little bit of length around the nape of the neck and behind the ear. So we're going to concave that up a little bit and just take a little bit more weight off that. Same profile section, but this time we're going to pull it in towards us to maintain that square shape. Body language is still the same position. Bring it towards me, out square, body shape square. We can see our guide underneath that, and we're cutting up straight to the ceiling. Nice and square. You should find you should reach around between 6 sections roughly for the curvature of the head. And we'll maintain the same position as always. Back to the beginning. Pull the section out, find your guide, cut straight to the ceiling. It should be sitting around about the occipital bone. We want to maintain some of the weight below it. This can be soften it down through the top section. So now we're using the Dark Stag Ambassador razor, which simply comes off the top, replace the blade and clips in. So again, for more economic purposes, for the barbers in the shop, to save some money, it's the only Ambassador razor that can have half a blade attached to it. So rather than buying full blades, it simply attaches to half, so you get double your money with this razor. And this is actually the black edition, which I love. I'm a Johnny Cash fan, so I love all black, which everything I wear is black, which is perfect with my image as well. So now we're creating texture in the hair. So I want to use the Ambassador razor blade for this. We're using diagonal sections, following the head shape round to remove weight. Anything above the occipital bone I want to remove, anything below it I want to maintain it. With the Dark Stag comb as well. We're pulling up the hair diagonally from its natural origin, using the corner blade at an angle. We're just slightly slicing through the interior to remove that weight. And next section, follow the head shape. I say removing weight. Visually we know anything below this we're keeping, anything above it we want to remove that weight. So again, next section, we're just coming at an angle, not too close to the root, we don't want to shatter the root, become mid-lengths. I'm just taking some of that away, just to shatter that texture through, break all that up. But once we're happy with our shape of the back, we've created a nice concave above the occipital bone, we left all the weight below it towards the nape. We've now created some lovely texture with our razor blade. Now I want to correct with balance, so all we're doing is pulling it out each side, and we're just double checking that all the balance is there for us. This is all visual. You can always go back and redo it, but all the balance is looking great. So for me, this is probably one of my favourite haircuts, longer layered with lots and lots of texture. Visually, I can now see what I'm creating. We can use our fingers and see what that lovely shape and razor have created. So once this is dry, I will go back in with my Dark Stag's DS scissors just to texturize that a little bit more. But visually, while the hair's wet, I don't want to take too much off it. I want to let the hair shrink naturally how it wants to sit. When it's dry, I'll just kind of slice through this to finish off any little bit excess I want to complete with that. It's all visual. This is your art piece. Remember, create what you want to create. For me, it's just now taking some really nice shape with that texture coming around that occipital bone. So now moving on to the top section where I've created a profile section. We're going to come this more triangular shape now. We've had our guide from the crown, and again with DS scissors, we're just creating a little bit of texture with a nice triangular shape, leaving it slightly longer towards the front, so we can still push this back behind the ears. Again, concave that up and just chip into the ends for a final finish. That's our main guide for the top of the haircut now. So once we're happy with the overall shape, we're now going to use my DS Plus Dark Stag scissors to do a little bit of slice work through the back of the hair. I still visually want to take off a little bit of weight off this, but directional slicing. So we're coming down with the scissor now. The scissor's going to be shut about 70%, so we're not fully shutting the scissor. We're coming in at 70%, and we're slowly coming down the back of the head to create a little bit of movement and a little bit of texture. Working with the Dark Stag comb, we're pulling the section out, and we're using that slicing technique to create a little bit more texture and some directional slicing for movement. So we've now finished the main part of the haircut. We're now going to add a little bit of product in. I've chosen to use the Dark Stag Sea Salt Spray. We're going to put this in on wet hair. We're going to move the hair around a little bit where it naturally wants to go, and we're going to get it into the roots. So all the texture we've now put into this haircut with our razor and our slicing, it's now going to completely emphasise that when we dry it in. We want that nice lived in beach look. The salt spray will create that. And I'll now dry that with a diffuser to create a nice textured shape towards the back.